Members of City Council, City Manager Moon, City staff, honored guests, my fellow Woodstockers. My duty this morning is to report to you on the state of our city. That is not to report on the state of our government, but on the condition of our community, on our Woodstock. Last year, you welcomed me to this stage as a newly minted mayor, the 31st mayor of this great city, taking on that new responsibility in the 125th year of our cityhood, 125 years of Woodstock. This month marks the dawn of a new quarter century in our city's story, and I mean for us to meet it head on. We will continue to heed our calling to leave this city better for our children. We will not pass on the day's challenges to future councils or future generations. This morning, we're going to discuss some ways that our city met some big challenges this year, how we have even bigger opportunities ahead, and the ways that we're going to move together to move our city forward as an undisputed leader in our nation. Now, as we dig deeper this morning, I'll be providing some updates from several of our departments. We're going to highlight and celebrate the service of some outstanding public servants. But as we do, I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to 3 major policy priorities for the upcoming year. We'll dig into each of these further. We are going to enhance the quality of life in our city by focusing on parks expansions and establishing Woodstock as a regional trail hub. Number 2, we're going to build a more sustainable, secure economy in our city by diversifying our commercial base with a concerted effort to recruit high-paying jobs and businesses into the core of our city. And number 3, we are going to concentrate our efforts as a city on building generational wealth for our citizens through the largest economic engine in human history, American home ownership. Parks and trails, new jobs, home ownership. If you don't catch those themes through the speech, you're not listening. We're going to cover a lot of topics this morning, and our city has a lot to celebrate, and you're going to hear it. But these 3 endeavors are going to be central to my administration this year, and today we'll explore why. The 21st century presented a period of unprecedented change for our city and the world. Our city continues to rise to the opportunities presented to us in this new millennium, and we have seen remarkable growth as a result. Now, with growth, and although our community hasn't answered every moment perfectly, I frequently remind folks that I go talk to that my goal is just to get more right than we get wrong. And in the year that you've trusted me as your mayor, we've seen plenty of decision points. Guys, I am under no illusion that I have gotten everyone right, but I am confident, and I'm very proud to say, that Woodstock is stronger today than it was a year ago. From crime rates to the unemployment rate, from transportation projects to relationships with governments and the private sector, our city's metrics are rapidly improving, and we are continuing toward record success. Our story is that of a city unexpected. We've built one of the most visited, attractive downtown destinations in the southeastern United States. The lives and the livelihoods of a Woodstock family are better in nearly every possible way than ever before. The state of our city is stronger than ever, and our best days still lie ahead. Now, last year, we discussed a brief history of our city. I told you the story of Sir Walter Scott and his popular novel, Woodstock. I told you the story of a sleepy settlement in the North Georgia woods that named their soon-to-be city after that book. We walked through the story of a forgotten railroad stop transforming into a city with 4,500 residents by 1990, that population doubling to more than 10,000 10 years later, to 26,000 in 2010, and again to 35,065 in 2020. That's growth. Now, I know it comes as a surprise, but it hasn't stopped. Most recent estimates place our population somewhere north of 37,000 Woodstockers. Our businesses continue to grow. We'll dive into a lot of the details around those numbers and how we're rising to meet the challenges that come with that growth shortly, but I want to start today by reminding you of the lesson that we shared together during this speech last year. Growth comes with challenges. Some of them are very complex. They can be difficult. But the challenges that we face are issues that nearly every other community in America would do anything to have. Do we understand that? As cities and communities around the state and the nation struggle, watching their populations flee to greener pastures, as soon-to-be empty nesters in cities not so far away watch their children dream of the days that they can leave their dying towns, as once vibrant cities breathe their final breaths, Woodstock looks ahead to better days. We stand a welcoming beacon for those who yearn for a sense of community, for those who are looking to live, work, and raise a family in a community underpinned with a sense of belonging. And in doing so, we are building a stronger, sustainable future for our city and its next generation. Now, the majority of us, myself included, we came from somewhere else. You don't get from 4,500 30 years ago to 37,000 just by having babies. Yet, there's some Woodstockers trying, but now, we came here. We're building this city. We're building it together. We're building this community. Yes, we could try to close the door behind us. We could channel our energy into solving problems like traffic and parking by ensuring that no one new ever had the opportunity to call Woodstock home. But our calling is not to shepherd our home to an orderly death. Our calling is to breathe life into this place, to build a thriving city that welcomes those who share our sense of community, our shared values, and our shared vision for the future. Dying towns don't have issues with congestion. They also don't have a future. For as long as you'll have me, I choose a strong, vibrant future for Woodstock. Now, as we strive to ensure that an ever-changing Woodstock remains our authentic Woodstock, we have to be sure it remains a safe city. The paramount duty of our government is to build and support a safe city. Woodstock must be a place that residents and visitors alike can travel our streets, our sidewalks, our trails without worry. I, like so many of you, choose to live in a place where my son and my daughters can run a few feet ahead of me without that shadow of panic entering the back of my mind. Over the last several years, not every city has managed to achieve that objective. The ARC's most recent Atlanta Region Speaks, Metro Atlanta Speaks survey tells us that for the first time ever, crime is seen as the number one issue facing our region, with more than 3 times as many votes as the next running up issue. The simple truth is that our neighbors throughout the region simply don't feel as safe in their cities as they did just a few years ago. But as is so often the case, our story in Woodstock is different. You know, I told you last year, despite our population growth from 26,000 in 2010 to 35,000 in 2020, we watched our population grow by 50% and our crime reduce by 45%. I want you to catch that. Our population exploded in 10 years and our crime cut in half. Now, in the time since 2020, we've continued to see that trend. From 2019 to 2022, our crime rate reduced by an additional 29%. And year over year, in just the single year from 21 to 22, we saw a 12.5% reduction in crime. No matter how you cut it, the trend in Woodstock is clear. Woodstock is not the place you come to commit a crime. Safewise.com ranks our city the 12th safest city in Georgia and the 4th safest city with a population of more than 30,000. Guys, with more than 500 cities in our state, that is no small feat. Our city is a reliable, safe destination to live, work, and play, and it is getting safer thanks to the outstanding work of Woodstock's finest. I want you to join me in thanking Guys, we owe everything to the men and women of the Woodstock Police Department for placing themselves in harm's way each and every day to keep us safe. These days, it is more trying than ever to be a police officer. Police departments face more scrutiny than ever, and our nation faces a critical shortage of both existing officers and new candidates entering the field. We have 57 sworn officer roles here in Woodstock, and as we made our way into 2022, our vacancies rose to an unprecedented 15 empty officer slots. I can assure you that unaddressed, that condition would impact the long-term state of public safety in our city. I am so proud of this council for rising to the occasion and responding decisively by investing in unparalleled ways in our police officers. Since my swearing in as your mayor 1 year ago, our council has invested and raised starting police pay here in Woodstock by a record-setting 26% in just 1 year. That's the largest single pay increase in Woodstock history. We're still a few officers shy of full force, but we are well on our way. And, well, if you've ever dreamed of a career change, I know a police chief who'd really like to talk to you. Guys, this increase met a critical market challenge but it ensured that we invested back in those who invested their professional lives in keeping us safe. I want to thank our council for showing leadership on this important issue, and I want to thank our command staff for their leadership in helping us meet this endeavor. So thank you, guys. Now, speaking of command staff, during last year's State of the City address, you helped me celebrate the decorated tenure of our past Chief of Police, Mr. Calvin Moss. After 10 years here in Woodstock, Chief Moss chose to retire, and we began the search for his successor. And I'm proud to report that despite big shoes left behind, we found a truly impressive leader to fill them. Chief Robert Jones joins us from the Kingsland Police Department with a storied career, serving as the Chief of Police for multiple municipalities here in Georgia, a gubernatorially appointed warden, and with both the United States Army and in combat missions around the world as a United States Marine. Guys, this man has proven himself to be a leader and a servant leader throughout his career, but absolutely during his first year here with Woodstock. I want to ask that you just help me. It's a little late to welcome you, but thank you, Chief Jones, for all of your service to our city. Thank you. Now, Woodstock's finest were not the only ones busy keeping our community safe last year. Woodstock's bravest, the members of our award-winning fire department, found themselves answering a record-setting 6,846 calls for service and another 2,387 new construction inspections. That's a lot. The department continues to meet the needs of this flourishing community with the same unparalleled spirit of service that our citizens have come to know and love from them. When I tell you that our department has an insurance services office or an ISO rating of 1, it may not mean a lot to you. An ISO rating, it's known as a fire score, okay? It is a measure from 1 to 10 on how well your community is protected from fire by a department. A 1 sounds pretty good, knowing it's the top of the mark. It might sound better knowing that we're one of only 456 departments in America with that rating, but it should sound really good when you know that there are more than 27,000 departments in this country. Our Woodstock Fire Department is among the top 1.6% of fire departments in the nation. We should be proud. We should be proud of the men and women who serve us in that department, who work to keep our community safe and keep our property safe for us, and the 24/7 effort they put in to ensure that each and every one of us get to enjoy that feeling. I told you last year the department was granted a new training officer role to help prepare them for future growth. Our department averaged more than 314 hours of training per employee last year, including EMS training, active shooter training, swift water rescue training, and it was all for one reason: to make certain that the men and women who are on the scene when you and your family need them the most are prepared to meet that moment. In addition to that widely expanded training, your council engaged with a third-party firm to audit, research, and provide recommendations for master planning the future of Woodstock's fire department. We are working to secure our future and keep up the success of this fantastic agency. Now, the success of our fire department is a product of one thing, and that is fantastic leadership. Chief Dave Sumas has served the Woodstock in our fire department here in Woodstock for more than 3 decades. His constant dedication to his firefighters and the constituents that he serves is evident in everything the man does. The only bold content on the report he provided me to help prepare this speech, it said, quote, "Number of citizens reached, 27,451. His focus is always on the citizens, and his work bears that fruit in the form of a service-oriented, excellent department. Now this morning, and with mixed emotions, I am sharing for the first time publicly that Chief Sumas is retiring after a dedicated career with our city. Chief, I know you and your family are here. If you guys will do me a favor and stand up. There you are. Chief, on behalf of our city, on behalf of my family, we are proud to call you one of our own. Your legacy is going to echo through generations of firefighters in this department, and we wouldn't be what we are without you. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you on behalf of everyone here, on behalf of a grateful city. Thank you, sir. Our city has been hard at work to make sure that the quality of life and the amenities that our residents have come to expect are getting even better. In just the last few weeks, our Parks and Recreation Department welcomed a new director, Mr. Brian Borden. Brian comes to us from the city of Brookhaven with a strong background leading cities and parks expansions, and that positions him extremely well to execute on council's vision for the department in the years to come. Mr. Borden, you're here. If you'll help me welcome Brian. We are honored to have you, sir. I'll tell you, in meeting with our council over the past few weeks to discuss priorities for the year, every member voiced a desire to expand our parks and trail offerings. Just last week, we received final approval from GDOT on our right-of-way acquisition to complete the connection of our existing Noonday Creek Trail to the Cobb County system, which will connect our city's trails all the way into the Silver Comet Trail and beyond. And we expect to have that connection from Noonday Creek Trail done in 2024. This, combined with the Community Development Department's initiative to connect the creeks, stands to considerably improve our existing trail system and the trail's viability as an actual alternative transportation option here in Woodstock. In addition, council has voiced, and I have heard you, loudly, their intention to complete Little River Park. We have allocated more than $8 million of the upcoming SPLOST to completing Phase 1 of Little River Park, and council is adamant that they wish to see groundbreaking. We have finally laid the groundwork to make the soon on those Little River Park coming soon signs on Trickham Road actually mean soon. So in a city as active as Woodstock, these offerings are genuine game changers. Transformative trail connections like these and generational park offerings like the 100-plus acre Little River Park are going to stand as investments and gifts to our children and our children's children. Now, I hope you were able to join us for the summer concert series last year. From Sister Hazel to Scotty McCreery, Woodstock, you guys showed up to play. It is not unexpected for our concerts to yield thousands in attendance. We often have to tell the fire marshal to cover his eyes and block his ears up. Guys, this year is shaping up to be the biggest ever. The 2023 season opens on May 13th with chart-topping country singer and songwriter Craig Morgan. Hits like Redneck Yacht Club and International Harvester are going to have Woodstock rocking. It's all behind me. You guys already know what I'm going to tell you. I will say, Saturday, June 10th, Councilwoman Tracy Collins, who wasn't able to be with us this morning, her long-held wish to have Mr. Rick Springfield take the stage. It's coming true. I don't know whether I'm more excited or more afraid of her, but it's coming, and we're all looking forward to enjoying that. We've got a Bruno Mars tribute band, Uptown Funk, that's going to be coming. They're bringing that 24-karat magic to the stage on July 8th. You're going to want to jump when you see another great tribute act. Completely Unchained performs a Van Halen tribute on August the 12th, and then the season ends on September 9th as Southern Icons, Driving and Crying, rock the stage with original hits like Fly Me Courageous and Straight to Hell. Woodstock Parks and Rec is adding a lot of value to this sponsorship. So if you guys have been thinking about sponsoring, now's the time. Guys, we have a lot to be proud of when it comes to recreation in this city, and I fully expect to see each and every one of you at that concert series because I don't know that anybody in Woodstock misses it. All right, earlier I described Woodstock as one of the most visited, attractive downtown destinations in the southeastern United States. In a city of 37,000, we attracted 3 million visits to our downtown shopping district last year. If you had tried to tell me growing up in Woodstock or even in 2012 when I started representing our city in the State House that we would one day boast 3 million visits in a year, I would have laughed you out of the room. But our city leadership and our stellar economic development team, they saw it. And they built a tourism, retail, and entertainment destination in downtown that competes across our region and is consistently used across the state and the nation as an example for Main Street revitalization. The success of our local economy yielded more than 350 new business licenses in 2022, and I lost count of the number of ribbon cuttings that you guys sent me to last year. In just the last 5 years, our city's businesses' top-line revenue grew from $2.2 billion in 2017 to more than $3.2 billion in 2021. I know inflation's bad, but it doesn't account for 50% growth in business revenue in 5 years, you guys. I had a CEO visiting from out of state. He owns one of the major retailers here in Woodstock. I asked him to meet me at the brewery over at Reformation at about 2 in the afternoon, and I was running about 5 minutes late. And as I walked up, he met me with what I would call a slightly abnormal greeting. He said, "Mayor, what the hell is wrong with this town?" I went, "Excuse me?" He goes, "It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and the brewery's full and the park's full. Does nobody here work?" Now, I reminded him we have a historically low 2.8% unemployment rate in this city, but who here hasn't visited the brewery or walked Main Street on a weekday afternoon? Guys, this is Woodstock. We don't just boast an active nightlife. This place is full of life all the time. I shared some vague hints last year during our address about one of the most important economic investments in our downtown's history, the City Center project. Now, no more vague hints. We've made some incredible progress on this project since, and this $100 million plus project will transform downtown Woodstock's skyline yet again. It's going to bring to our city more than 50,000 square feet of new office space, a 120-room boutique hotel, new conference center space, new restaurants, new retail, new park space, some critical street realignments, and the good part, a 647-space parking deck to our downtown. Now, this project represents a truly fiscally conservative approach to public-private partnership as well. The public infrastructure, the streets, the parking deck are being built with public investment, but the private portion of this project is being paid for entirely with private dollars. The city has executed a development agreement with our contractor for the infrastructure portions of this project, and before you worry about this being the coming soon signs, you'll be seeing groundbreaking on the street realignments for Chambers Street and East Main Street this quarter. We are moving. We are getting this project underway. This project is going to significantly enhance the retail offerings in downtown. It's going to dramatically expand the professional office inventory in our city, and it will provide critical congestion and parking relief that will have an echoing effect throughout our grid street network and our main road arteries. This will be nothing short of transformational for Woodstock. Speaking of office space, among our primary goals for the coming 2 years is going to be commercial diversification. We are a fantastic place to live, work, and play, but you can't have all three. You can either afford to work in the retail and tourism industry that support our city, and you're going to have a very difficult time affording to live near your job. Or you can afford to live and play in our city, and you are highly likely to be commuting far out of town to find work to support that lifestyle. Guys, this is bigger than just Woodstock. This is because of a change of behavior in America that has substantially impacted how we see our communities, how we see our society, and most importantly, how we see our roles as individual Americans. You see, 3 generations ago, and for the 5,000 years prior to it, the normal human behavior was to live near where you work. Odds were very high that you lived where you were born, and that you were going to raise children where you were born like your parents did. And then the automobile was introduced. Now, this pattern still exists in the majority of the civilized world today across Europe and Asia, but since the introduction of the automobile, chances are now extremely high that you do not live where you were born. Chances are even higher, especially in Woodstock, that you do not work near where you live. So we have to ask ourselves, what does that do to our attitudes about the places that we live and work? When the place we work starts to feel worse, what do? We find a new job in a better environment. When the cities we live in start to feel aged or less than when they once were, what do? We move. Long gone are the days that we as citizens feel any individual responsibility in the outcomes of our communities at large. Guys, this shift in attitude, the lack of roots, the lack of sense of belonging, it has tremendous impact on our national mindset as well as our local mindset. It has resulted in heightened division, it results in tribalism, and it has resulted in an increasing inability, let's admit it, an unwillingness to even be around those with differing opinions. In short, this shift away from a full life spent in community with others, it has been toxic to the great American experiment. We need to attract more small and mid-sized employers to our city that will bring high-paying jobs that are going to support the families who call this place home. As a business owner myself, my partner and I have built a company here in the heart of our city. We employ nearly 30 full-time, and the majority of them live a short distance from where we sit today. I know it can be done. There are a tremendous number of business owners who live here in Woodstock but own companies in surrounding areas because 10 or 20 years ago, that was where you wanted to be. Not anymore. It is time to bring those businesses home, to build a sustainable, anti-fragile, diversified economy here in our home city. It's time that we build a business community that's going to continue to enhance the sense of place that our city is so well known for. So I have my recruiting hat on. To every Woodstocker who owns a business outside of town, it's time to work a little closer to home. We're working hard, and we're going to bring the physical footprints and the infrastructure that you need to headquarter here. For both new and existing Woodstock businesses alike, we are intent on making sure that our city, like our state, is the #1 for business. We need to hear from you, though. So we've launched a brand new business portal. This is a business recruitment form on the website, and I mean it, we want to hear from you. Whether you own a business here or outside of the city, we want to know what you need, and we want to get you here. I'm looking forward to welcoming each and every one of you to our city. Let's get this right. Let's focus in. We're going to build an economy in Woodstock that can lead the way in restoring the sense of community that America so urgently needs. Now, City Center is by no means our city's only major infrastructure project underway. In fact, last year, during this address, I shared with you the outstanding work of our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Rob Hogan, who had put together a draft for the citywide annual comprehensive transportation plan. And in this room, I challenged our council to adopt that plan with haste, and thank you, guys. You met the calling. We are leaps and bounds ahead of our peer cities with a comprehensive plan. It is publicly available, and it outlines our city's future transportation initiatives, our project timelines, anticipated funding sources, the impact expected from each project. This helps us better interface with other jurisdictions, it helps us interface with stakeholders, and it keeps our policymakers' eyes focused on projects that actually matter. Last year, the mayors of Cherokee County elected me to represent our cities on the Atlanta Regional Commission. Alongside Chairman Johnston and Steve Stansel, our other two members from Cherokee County, we've managed to secure additional funding for several priority projects for our city and our county, including the initial rounds of funding for major intersection improvements on I-575 at both Town Lake Parkway's Exit 8 and Ridgewalk Parkway's Exit 9. These projects have been on the books for years. We are making substantial progress on securing funding, and we're actually moving the ball forward on improving traffic flow in those major congestion points for our city. Now, Mr. Hogan and I ventured down to GDOT, to the statewide headquarters early last year to meet with GDOT Commissioner Russell McMurray, and we outlined Woodstock's priorities to make sure that we were front of mind for the department. And then following on that, the three of us serving on the ARC between Cherokee County and Woodstock kept up that momentum. We hosted the lead statewide planner for Georgia Department of Transportation on a ride-along through Woodstock and Cherokee County. We wanted to provide a boots-on-the-ground perspective on our most critical transportation priorities. And I want to be clear, this kind of attention is not normal. With more than 500 cities in Georgia, statewide top-level decision makers don't get to spend time in all of them. Guys, we are focused on making sure that Woodstock and Cherokee County are and remain a primary focus for state and regional infrastructure investments, and you are going to continue to see me working with our legislative delegation, with the governor's office, and with any leader who will listen to me to make sure that we are investing in the future of Woodstock. I am extremely proud of the investment of time and capital that entities like GDOT and the ARC are making alongside our city and our county to address the critical infrastructure challenges that come with a thriving city. And guys, these kinds of investments underscore the importance and the role that our city play in our region. As an example, Nice Road acts as a major connection point between Highway 92 and Arnold Mill Road, and it has suffered from increasing congestion. I invite you to review the multi-phased plan that we have with roundabouts and increased throughput measures, but I'm proud to report that the Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank and GDOT's help, we are engaged in completing Phase 1 at 92 and Nice Road, and Phase 2 is already approved to move forward. You remember the hub transformation project that we discussed last year. We did break ground and we are nearing completion. I hope you enjoyed your ride through our new Gateway roundabout coming into town this morning. The two-way traffic pattern on Mill Street is coming soon, and as we discussed last year, this first of its kind project is going to improve traffic flows on 7 major arteries in our city. It will dramatically reduce congestion throughout our downtown district. Y'all, I promised you orange cones last year. We delivered. All right, I've mentioned the county several times. I want to highlight what I believe is one of our most important accomplishments from last year. In 125 years of our city's history, our city only had a mutually approved growth boundary agreement with our county for 2 of those years. If it sounds like inside baseball to you, I don't blame you. It's just a mutually agreed to playbook that serves as a handshake between the county and the city on where a city can and should ultimately grow. If somebody applies to annex into the city from outside the boundary, we send them back to the county first. If somebody applies to redevelop within the growth boundary agreement to the county, they send them to us now. I know this sounds simple, but without a mutual plan, it shouldn't be shocking that the city and county were butting heads on annexations and growth. Some of those moments were contentious enough to drive headlines, some of them lawsuits. I made it a personal mission of mine to get this agreement done in my first 100 days in office, and I owe a huge thanks to our council and our county commission for taking me seriously in that mission. We were able to come to an agreement on a unanimously supported map within my first 100 days in office. We have seen the agreement in action for nearly a year now. Guys, our governments are working together more efficiently than ever. For property owners, that means a clearer path to accomplishing what you'd like to with your property. For staff, it means less likelihood of getting caught up in political tiffs. But most importantly, for taxpayers, it means less time spent on avoidable conflicts and more time executing on a stronger, brighter future for our shared community. This is a historic agreement for our community. It's one of the things I'm most proud of from our first year, but most importantly, I want to thank our council for showing leadership on that. Now, this map is a critical tool in ensuring that the growth that comes in the future is quality growth. Our community development department stretches across new building, code enforcement, development services, planning and zoning, and in 2022, the department permitted an additional $211 million in construction value here in our city. We kicked off the year with council's adoption of the Town Center and 92 Livable Centers Initiative update, and on the Atlanta Regional Commission, I consistently hear praise for our city as a shining example of setting a plan, sticking to the plan, and seeing the results. These guys, the community development department, are the engine behind that planning and execution. Earlier this year, we welcomed a brand new director of the department, Ms. Tracy Albers. I'm not sure if she's here this morning or not. Hey, Ms. Albers. Well, I got to tell you, you have one of the roles that I get to work with the very most as mayor, and it has been an absolute pleasure getting to work with you guys. We outkicked our coverage with Tracy. We're a little late to welcome her too, but if you'll thank her with me. And her deputy director just announced, after a long and storied career here with the city, that she's going to be stepping away for an awesome opportunity with Georgia Tech. But Miss Katie O'Connor, if you've built anything in Woodstock, you've gotten to meet Katie. So we all owe her a thank you. Earlier, we mentioned the challenges our city faces with the live, work, play trifecta. We explored the importance of employer recruitment and building a jobs base for those who live and play here. Equally important is meeting the challenge of affordability in our housing inventory, providing access to the American dream for those who work in and support our city today. With housing prices skyrocketing, interest rates and inflation exploding, and new builds slowing, our nation is undergoing a unique housing crisis, one defined by limited inventory and critically impacting a fundamental component that built the American middle class. For 3 generations, at every level of government, federal, state, and local, the United States of America has made home ownership a fundamental domestic priority. But why? Each of you business owners in the room are going to immediately recognize a fundamental truth. You don't build wealth with salary. Wealth is built in equity. But how do we make that accessible? The average American will never own a business. So how do we help them build generational wealth? The universally accessible appreciating asset became the American home. And through it, we built the largest wealth-generating mechanism in human history, American home ownership. We built a middle class unparalleled anywhere in the world. And now, with inventory limited and prices skyrocketing, an entire generation is being excluded from that wealth. When the middle class is under threat, the political stability of America comes under threat. And this should be a primary focus of every government in the nation. It certainly is one of ours. And that is why the ownership-rentership ratio is so critical to my administration. If we want to build a financially sustainable city, we will build it with financially stable and sustainable people. For generations, financial stability in this nation is built through home ownership. And by ensuring that we provide inventory for aspiring homeowners in Woodstock, we can continue to accomplish that goal for the next generation. In a city like Woodstock, though, that early ownership model probably doesn't come with 2 acres of land and a white picket fence. The product might look more like a townhome. It might look more like a condo. But most important, it will share one characteristic. It will be owned. And it will be an economic engine for our community and most importantly for the families who call this community home. And that's where I need your help. In an admirable effort to tackle our state's housing crisis, the Georgia General Assembly is exploring reforms. Among those proposed reforms is an outright prohibition that would prevent Woodstock or any local governments from being able to permit rental inventory and owned inventory differently in any way. Under that new law, we'd be required to view a condo building and an apartment complex as if they were the same product. Guys, it's not just inaccurate. It also destroys our ability to build a financially sustainable future. So we stand at the ready to provide as input as our legislators draft and craft these reforms, but our ask is that they involve us in the process and allow us to help address this shared problem for our shared future. Now, I say all this. We have a legislator in the room today, and I know he's working with us on this, so don't hound him. But I do want to say, to address this directly, our city, we have engaged in an additional housing study. We want to understand where we stand and what our status looks like, and we are addressing reforms of our own so that we can continue to work with the private sector to build housing that will meet both market demand and the financial security and future of our city. I call on our council today. We have got to continue to explore creative ways to meet that demand, and I intend for our city to continue to be a leader in the American foundation of homeownership. Core to planning, though, is great data. Now, our GIS department and our IT departments continue to lead the way in providing the information we need to make generational policy decisions here in the city. Our incredible IT director, Mr. Jeff Smith, I know he's here somewhere. There you are, sir. Mr. Smith has announced that after an excellent career with the city, he's going to be retiring as well. Guys, I don't know what this says about me. I do want to make sure we thank Jeff. You've done a spectacular job, sir. Thank you for serving us. Thank you, sir. We have always been able to rely on you. We're grateful for your service to the city. Now, with Jeff's departure, Council, you are going to be presented with an option this coming Monday to combine these two departments into a new information office to be led by a chief information officer in our city. In an era where data is now more valuable than oil, we are positioning our city to build policies and vision based on an intentional, data-driven approach. Even more importantly, information and data are critical for public accountability. Over the years, you have elected me in large part because of my dedication to open and accessible and accountable government. By centralizing information and data within the city, we can continue to focus on new, transformative transparency and public information initiatives. We've seen serious success on that front over the last year already. If you've seen our tools, some of the really neat new tools like our major projects and transportation project maps, you've seen how we're trying to share data in new, innovative ways with each and every one of you. If you ever wonder what those orange cones are for or how they're going to impact our city, you can use these maps to easily locate projects throughout the city limits. You can learn more about them. In my time in this office, from the city manager all the way down through the 200-plus employees, I have witnessed a team of dedicated public servants who are seeking ways to better involve, better inform the public on the city's activity. They are constantly searching for new ways to share information, and we are going to continue to lean into that and do everything we can to make sure you have the information you need to hold your city accountable. We have covered a lot. In the last year, we accomplished a lot. There is much more ahead of us. We are going to continue to expand our parks and our trail offerings. This new green space and the connection of our trail system to the communities around us will create a better, higher quality of life for our residents and visitors alike. These assets will yield dividends to our community for generations. We will build a deeper sense of place and connection to our community by attracting employers and jobs to allow more Woodstockers to work near home. In doing so, we will be staking out a secure, diversified commercial future for our city, and we will be reigniting the sense of community and pride of place that built an American century. We will engage and prioritize the largest economic wealth-generating mechanism in human history, American home ownership. By making this appreciating asset more available to those who call Woodstock home, we will be creating a financially stable future for both our city and the families who live here, and we'll be creating family tree-changing wealth for our citizens. Parks and trails, commercial diversification, American home ownership. We have much to do. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me serve you in this way. every day with her. Every day. Guys, our family had the honor of serving this city in Georgia's House of Representatives for 8 years, and it was the honor of a lifetime. But I can't begin to tell you how special getting to lead this city is for me. It is far more work than the job description or any one of you told me it would be. But this is the most fun, most rewarding job in the world, and I genuinely hope I'm making you proud. This month, we start our 126th year of cityhood. Our city has seen some significant growth and changes over the years, but Woodstock's story remains the same. Our calling in this city, unexpected, remains the same. We have built a place that people want to be. We must now set out to build a place that will last. My family and I renew our promise to you from 1 year ago that we will dedicate ourselves to that mission. With your help, I'm confident that we will meet the calling of our time. We will succeed in building a city that our children will be proud to inherit. Let's get to work. Thank you, guys. Thank you all.